Hey guys, can you hear me? I have the lavalier mic. Is everything good? Okay, I'll talk loudly. Um, yeah, actually, I completely forgot that I was born in Winnetka, and it's sort of weird. Actually, I don't know if it's Winnetka or Wilmette. Yeah, I was born on Middlebury Lane because I was born at home on Middlebury Lane. Yeah, I know it's weird, but I have to find out whether was that.
You're right on the cusp.
Yeah.
Oh, am I?
Yes.
Oh, well, there we are. My dad went to new career and, the whole thing. So everybody's from here. Thanks very much for coming today. I got into perfume in a really weird way. I met this guy named Luca Turin in the Gare du Nord train station in Paris. And we started talking and I said, what do you do? He said, I'm a scientist. Oh, really? I do science journalism and where the Atlantic? Oh, yeah. And this sort of thing. So we started talking and I said, well, what do you do? And he said, I'm a biophysicist and I do olfaction. And human olfaction was absolutely astonishing. We talked all the way to London and on the Eurostar. Sorry? Oh, sure. Well, I have this mic. You can't hear, huh? Okay. Anyway,
Yeah, takes off.
is this better? Okay, good. Thank God for technology. So we got to London and I said I want to write a book about you, and it was extraordinary because I thought it was going to be a book on popular science, the fascinating study of olfaction, and it actually turned out to be half on that and half about perfume because he's a genius of perfume. He's also, I think, a scientific genius, extraordinarily creative. What I had never thought about before was treating perfume as an art and perfume raw materials as an art medium equal to paint, clay, musical notes, and all the rest. And it absolutely is. And that is, I got the idea from Luca. He did a book called Perfumery, and which you can actually get. And it's incredibly interesting. And he writes all over the place, so you can find his writing. I published that. My agent sent it to the New Yorker. They had me do a piece behind the scenes for a year at Hermes, and the New York Times asked me to write for them. That's how I got into all this stuff. So enough of this biographical crap. Let's what we're gonna do. Ready? Let's go. So I wanted to bring you 5 works of contemporary French scent art, and I was going to do some of the old. We don't have that much time. I'm actually going to do 5 works so we have time to talk. You are going to be doing a lot of the work. I'm going to be asking you what you think. The point here is that when you say the word perfume in America, because of the marketing, it has really sort of negative connotations. I don't actually like it in English, despite the fact because the marketers have divided it up into perfume and cologne. And basically they only created cologne, which is actually a very specific kind of fragrance creation, which is sort of an eau fraiche type thing. And it's aromatics and citrus, and they're usually very light. That's an eau de cologne. Okay. But they had to give American men, actually English speaking men, heterosexual men, straight men, psychosexual permission to wear fragrance. You shouldn't need it. Okay. It's very, very important. I understand why you ready? Let's go. Give me one. And so we're gonna pass out everything.
We're still stuck on the psychosexual.
Yeah. No, I mean that's it. It's just that so you're gonna go it that way. And what are you doing? 3 per? Yep, we pass them down into the middle. Okay, so you're gonna go up there and give 3.
It's 1 for 2.
It's 1 blotter for every 2 people. So you're sharing with somebody you know or somebody you don't know. Please hold it. What you do is you do this if it helps. Keep it away from your nose.
Have you smelled it?
Oh, and you're going to smell the thin end, the pointed end. All right. So, what we're doing today is we are smelling where the art form is, the state of the art in contemporary art. All right. This is I chose them all from a house called Etat Libre, Orange Free State. And Etat Libre is in Paris in the Marais, and it's a fascinating house. It is very art forward, creativity forward. They have some things that are rather extraordinary, of which I think this is one. Now, everyone, I was going to give you the classics and the great Caron and Chanel and so on, but I think we might as well start with this. This is one of the most astonishing works of fragrance art, scent art that I've ever smelled, and it was created by two brilliant artists, Antoine Maisondieu and Antoine Lee. All right, so remember that what French perfumers were doing when they were creating the great works, Shalimar, Chanel No. 5, Eau Sauvage, Eau Sauvage is actually very modernist, which is interesting. It was the first molecule to use dihydrojasminate, which is an extraordinary molecule that people still use, and it's very, very interesting. I hope I'm saying that right. So what do you think of this? You like it?
Yes.
So smell it intensely. Pass it around. I'm surprised that who likes it? Hands up. Who doesn't? There. Good. Look around. It's about 50-50. It's extremely divisive. And this is what I love about this is that it is a work of surrealism that's absolutely extraordinary. I'm going to start out right now and saying I do not believe in breaking down fragrances into what there is. I gave it to Christine, and she immediately said, I don't know what's in it. Well, you're not supposed to, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what's in it. You don't see a painting and say, oh, there's blue and there's yellow and, oh, and they've got a little pink. That's irrelevant. You wouldn't taste a cake and just say, well, it's made of chocolate and butter and milk and eggs. If I did that, or Danielle Boulud did that, you get two completely different things, and yet they would be made with exactly the same ingredients. The ingredients don't matter. They have to be good quality, obviously, like the chocolate, right? But that's not what matters. Oh, I turned off my phone.
I turned it on.
Did you? I know. You turn them off and then they come back to life. It's true. It's true. So what I think what is interesting is to and the only real way to experience a work of art is as a whole, as the work. So we're not going to talk about breaking this down into materials at all. I might mention a few when it's really interesting, but I want you to look at the whole work as a whole. This is extremely divisive because it is incredibly violent. I think it is surreal in that, don't you find it somewhat abrasive? It has huge texture. It's almost like rubbing your hand across concrete. And what's interesting about this is that it was created by les Antoine, as a work that is a picture of an event. This was creative directed. In other words, the person who talks with the perfumers and says, this is my idea of this. The creative director is the architect, and the perfumers are the builders, the construction heads. And they have to be absolutely ingenious in the way the construction heads and architecture work. Again, it's an analogy. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. The artistic director for this is a French movie star, a French actress who's very, very well known, and she just had children, and she had discovered what true fear was. When you have children, you suddenly have other people to fear for, and what she wanted to do, she imagined a violent act where there was a woman and a man comes and drives a sword into her, metallic sword. And this is the smell. There's a picture of that in a very, very literalist, because you smell that way, but treated at high volume and in high color. You smell the blood. What does blood smell like? Metallic. Exactly. Can you smell that? But there's a beauty in it. There is, for me, an edge that is bright. This is mauve. This is extraordinary. And it is the blood, but almost cartoonish, you know? And I just love it. Isn't it amazing? Think about how different this is. You ready? Next one? Yep. Think about how different this is from all the other French perfumery you think about. We are not in whatever it is, the 1920s, even the 1950s, or the 60s. That is truly something different. Now, we're going to switch gears here. Oh, I forgot to tell you the name.
What's the name? Yeah.
Right. The name of the perfume is, I'm not going to give you the names up front. I'm going to give them to you afterwards. The name is Eau de Protection. Water protection. Okay? And that's why it's violence. Did you like it? Did you hate it? I gave it out one time. I was giving a talk at the Museum of Arts and Design. I founded a, by the way, did you say this already?
I did.
Okay, so I founded a, I wasn't listening. Well, it's me, I don't care. I founded the Department of Olfactory Art, Department of Scent Art at the Museum of Arts and Design, and did one major exhibition. And this, I was showing the board member, when I first came in, showing them fragrances, works of scent art, and I gave this to them, and there was one woman who absolutely loved it. And you would know her name, but it's very, very interesting. And she said, "Where can I get this? What is it? What's the brand?" She'd never heard of it. She loved it. And there was another woman who threw the blotter across the table and said, "You've got to be kidding!" And walked out. And walked out. It's really extraordinary. Now this one, what do you think? Sorry?
I don't like it.
Don't like
I
it.
like it more than the other.
Yeah, it's better.
Calmer. I mean, it's calm.
It's more beautiful. You think? Yes.
A little intense.
This is a completely different way to go. We're all in the collection of Etat Libre. This one, the first fragrance was made by Antoine Maisondieu and Antoine Lee. This one is made by a young perfumer who's, well, I think of him as young, perfumer who's really exploded on the scene. His name is Quentin Biche, and he created this. And I think this is an example of modern French scent art that is calm. It's almost poetic. I think this is an example of impressionism. You're not, but also abstract expressionism, because do you get an idea of an image from this? We were talking about, Juliet and I were talking about this. Who gets an image? What is it? What is it you? Ponies. Why? Oh, peonies. That's right. That's right.
Reminds me of playing with my dad's like shaving stuff.
That's shaving stuff, yeah.
Vegetables, farm to table restaurant.
Vegetables, farm to table restaurant. That's very interesting. I actually see that. To me, there's a warm, it's both cool and warm. The warm scent for me is straw or hay in a warm barn. You smell that? No, not at all. Does anybody smell it? I find this reassuring because that's how I experience it. Art is completely separate. It's like, look, this is like looking at Jackson Pollock.
Right.
Okay? What do you take from it? Or Joan Mitchell? What, you take from it what you want to take from it. But it's sort of a little bit more Kandinsky, I think, in that he is representational. He has figures. You can see them. This is a person. This is whatever. And to me, this does have a straw connotation. It has a warmth to it, and it also has a real cool. Very cool. And it's almost sort of, and I love the fact that it's calm. You said it's calm, right? It's truly very calm. It is almost a tone poem. Again, imagine the difference between this and a voluptuous work like Jiki, okay? We have come, it's a century later, and we've come a long, long way. Is this different? Ready? Almost ready.
We already have a few.
Oh, so, you got to remind me. So this is called. It's from a Victor Hugo, I think, novel. Etat Libre will not be happy with me. I can't remember whether it's a novel, but it's Hugo, and it's called Herman à mes côtes me paraissait une ombre. Yeah, right. So and it's literally a line taken from the novel, and what I take from it also is that this is so Herman at my side appeared to me to be a shadow, and the question is, a lot of people have said that they perceive this as the attempt by Quentin Biche and the creative director on this, who is Etienne de Swart, to create the scent of a shadow. And that's why I think that really, that's where the cool comes in, almost translucent.
Yeah.
So you see, that's really it. So that's why I should give you the title after, but I should give you the title because it really does explain the intent. Ready?
The name of it.
Oh, called the perfumer is Quentin Biche, Bisch, and the creative director is Etienne de Swart. And by the way, Etat Libre is of course Orange Free State in French, and Etienne's father, as you can probably guess from the name, is South African. It's the most South African name you can possibly have, the Swart. Now, this one, again, I want to go in a very different direction. I love this, and I find this extraordinary. It is also difficult. It is confusing.
Yes.
It is beautiful. But there's a reason behind this. I want you all to experience it first.
Complicated.
Very complicated.
Yeah, you go on a little bit on a journey with that. Yeah.
What's that? Citric spicy. Remember, please, what do you see? Don't use raw materials. What do you see from this? What do you imagine?
Beautiful.
I'm sorry?
Summer picnics.
A summer picnic. That's interesting. Do you know the expression les parfums? Not expression, it's a category in France. Les parfums gourmands or les parfums culinaires. Culinary or gourmand perfumes. Nobody uses that in North America. Nobody uses that in Britain. It is a very, very well-known category. Now, people have started using it mostly in the niche space. I don't think it's really gone out in sort of the most popular areas, but it's a very well-known category. There are two great gourmand perfumes of the 20th century. One at the beginning and one at the end. Does anybody know what they are? Shalimar. Excellent. Do you know the year?
1920.
1925. Very good. Very good. And it is one of the greatest works of perfumery ever. And it is, what's the central raw material? And the theme of it, vanilla. So it was, and the Guerlain have always been great perfumers. And it was a work in vanilla. And there was somebody who said, oh Jesus, I don't remember which Guerlain perfumer it was now. It wasn't Jacques. Etat Libre, maybe. I don't know. I should know this, of course. They said there was a man who said very famously, and he was a perfumer, and he said, "When I use vanilla, I get creme brulee." And when Guerlain uses vanilla, he gets Shalimar. This I get fruit
Yeah.
turned up to 12. It's not hot. I don't think it's hot, but it's also, in color terms, bright as hell. What category, what art, school of art do you think this would belong in? To me, it's very clear. Fauvism. I think, and it's just so obvious, I think, and it's so strong. I think it's even more abstracted a Matisse. I think it's hotter than a Matisse. I understand why they think they use Fauves, but there are others. The two I wrote down are Georges Braque and André Durand. And to me, those are the most colors. And this is extreme. It jumps off the blotter at you. Wearing it is wonderful.
Colors like splashes my mind, yellows and oranges, and it's like summer to me also too.
Absolutely. I get mauve.
Not hot, but warm.
Yeah, well, I get a bright yellow and a bright mauve and a bright sort of these other colors. It's extraordinary. Now, what's interesting about it is that it is not considered in the industry to be a gourmand perfume. I've used this at Senteur's, and I've given it to chefs. Each of the Senteur, I get a chef, and then we show them the perfumes, show them the raw materials, and then they decide what they're going to do. And I have often had chefs who perceive this as very much a gourmand, very edible, and also they said, well, it's almost rotten fruit, most of it tropical. And I bet chefs said, this is wonderful. And I had one who did a duck with this very high-powered, huge reductions of guava and passion fruit and banana, and it was with duck, and it was wonderful. And another, of course, did a series of ice creams, and it was incredible. It was wonderful. So I love this. I think this is a work of Fauvism. Ready?
Yes.
Okay, let's go out.
What's the name of it? The end of the 20th century.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. So at the end of the 20th century, you guys will probably know this. It's a perfume, a genius perfume, and it's called Angel. Thierry Mugler. And do you like that? Yeah. Angel is also very like this. It's oh, sorry. Well, hang on one second. I'll tell you the name of this. Angel is very divisive. And what was interesting about Angel was it was extraordinarily loved. It was an obsession among the people who bought it and wore it. And it was never widely popular, but it was so popular with the people who loved it that they sold billions of dollars worth. Rafts of money. And I think it absolutely deserves it. And the secret to Angel is a combination of three things. One was patchouli, which is beautiful, beautiful, dry and sort of a heather. It's a tropical grass that grows in Indonesia, and I think when it's really wonderful, you can smell the tropics, you can smell Sumatra, and you smell the earth, and it's just wonderful. And with that were two gourmand elements. One is tonka bean, which is not strictly speaking edible. Tonka has a vanillic, taffy flavor that it's not quite vanilla, it's not as sweet, but it's just you want to bite into it. And the third material was brilliant. It's ethyl maltol. And ethyl maltol is the molecule that you actually smell and taste when you eat cotton candy. Isn't that interesting? Now this, so it was a perfume made of cotton candy to a great degree. This is called I Am Trash. The name of the perfume. In French, it's Fleur de Déchets. And what's fascinating is that this is made from this is conceptual art, but it's made from in a very, very interesting way, and it's very. I don't want to say postmodernism. I'm not a fan of postmodernism, but it's sort of postmodernism in that it's more grounded in reality, and the work actually matters. Unlike in postmodernism, where the only thing that matters is the concept or the title of the work. And what's interesting about this is that it uses upcycled flowers. So when they traditionally you distill rose, jasmine, ylang ylang. I don't know if do we have a peony absolute? I don't actually know. I love the way peony smells. I think peony is one of the flowers that you recreate. You all know Lily of the Valley, right?
Right.
Okay, and the greatest lily of the valley, the original reference lily of the valley is the Dior perfume. Which one? Right. I think it's Dioressence.
Yeah.
No?
Diorissimo.
Diorissimo. Thank you. Jesus, I knew that was not right. And it was a fabulous. So it must have a beautiful lily of the valley or muguet absolute in it, right? No, there is no muguet absolute essence or any other natural material. We don't exactly know why. We simply cannot. You don't get a whole du monde that's sufficient. And I don't even know if it's possible if you get anything from the flower it's one of the flowers that we have to reproduce. And there are many like this. Lilac. Smell of lilacs is beautiful. One of the greatest fragrances, in my opinion, is by Olivia Giacobetti, who's a perfumer with a wonderful talent. And she created En Passant and the Smell of Lilacs, and it is entirely a recreation using other materials. Oh, this I wanted to say. Do not look down on synthetic materials or molecules. It's ridiculous. All natural perfumery is ludicrous. It's ludicrous. There's no way, all natural, there's no more reason to have an all natural perfume than there is to work in an all natural skyscraper. Or to have to paint paints with all natural, whatever the hell it is that you get from berries. There's no reason for it. Art, by definition, is artificial. It is the expression of a mind whose goal is always the same. In an infinite number of forms, but it's always the same. To make you reconceive and rethink your idea of reality, of your life, of emotion, of beauty, of ugliness, to make you feel fear, to make you feel comfort, to make you feel reassured. So perfume is meant to do that. Fragrance, whatever scent, is meant to do that. And that's what the great perfumers do. They're creating different versions of reality in the same way that Picasso, the woman ascending stairs, or she's descending, I guess. Is she ascending or descending? Descending. Thank you. And you see her from all these angles at the same time. He made you reconceive reality. We all know that reference. I think that this also does that. It takes all what was considered trash from the process of extracting rose and osmanthus and whatever you have, and it uses them to create this. It was created by one of the great artists, Daniela Andrier, and I think it's wonderful. I just think it's wonderful, but I do think it's difficult to wear. Right, next. Now, I'm going to tell you one thing about this. This is a work of photorealism.
That is stark. That is very stark.
It's a portrait. Everyone, it's not a portrait. Well, it is a portrait of a thing that's happening. It's a portrait of a person, but it is both what the person is wearing and what the person is doing. As I said, it's photorealism. It smells exactly like what it is. And this one, this is by Germaine Cellier. This is by Les Antoines. I think I attributed, actually one of these is just Antoine Lee, and unfortunately I don't remember. I think maybe it's this one. So Antoine Lee worked on this, and he had an idea in mind. You have a young French woman. She works in an office, and after work, and the French used to the French offices, until it was banned when I was living there, thank God, would be filled with smoke. It was absolutely ridiculous. It was horrible. It's changed now, thank God, but smoke still permeates. Actually, Juliette noticed this. When you land at Charles de Gaulle, I think you smell cigarette smoke everywhere. Impregnates things. I'm not a fan. So it's very interesting. She leaves the office and she goes to a cafe, sits down, and she's waiting for her boyfriend. She puts on a perfume, a floral perfume. Any idea which flower? No. Jasmine. Who said that?
Yeah.
Whoever said you. Good job. Good job. Now, what's interesting about it, one of the things is she does not put on an expensive jasmine perfume. This is intentionally. Smell it again.
Okay.
You really dislike it, don't you?
No, I feel like it's a narrative though. I feel like I go on with this.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So she puts
starts
on.
out being kind of stark and then it gets.
Yes. Well, she puts on a sort of cheap jasmine perfume, and she waits there, and she gets out of her cigarettes, and she starts smoking. And the name of the perfume is Jasmin et Cigarette. And that is what it is. I want you all to smell it again, and you have portrait, photorealism, the absolute thing right in front of you of a cheap jasmine perfume that's also lovely, and a cigarette smoke. Isn't that wonderful?
I think that is pretty wonderful.
I mean, wonderful. It's as a work of art, it's wonderful. As a work of art, it is magistral. It's genial. It really is just extraordinary. Is something to wear? No, but at the same time, there are people who, there are people who will buy houses that I think are crazy by these architects, and I think they're stark. I think they're absolutely unlivable, and yet they are works of art. I really dislike, I'm sorry to say this because I know this is his home. I really dislike Frank Lloyd Wright. I find his houses unlivable. I just saw he did a oh my God, it's the name of a tribe in Mexico. One of no, in Mexico, in one of the great empires. Inca, no, but no, there's another one. Aztec. I believe that he calls it Neo-Aztec. And it's this house, and it is extraordinary. It's on Sunset, just north of Sunset on off Laurel Canyon. And we all drive by it all the time, all of us who live in LA. And I think it's hideously ugly. But I learned about no, you should see it. You should see it. I'll show it to you. And it looks like they're going to be sacrificing virgins, and it's going to be running with blood, and it was this torches made of this. Oh, it's amazing. But I learned about it, and it's an extraordinary work of architecture. Would I want to live there? No. So, jasmine cigarette. And this is the last one. Ready? Now, this is, I guess I should tell you this right away. So I wanted to do this because I was the creative director of this. So this is my perfume for fragrance.
I like this.
Oh, good. And this is specific. It's mine. I don't know what to call it. Perhaps it's realism. It's certainly representational. And I wrote a novel called You or Someone Like You. And it is about an English woman who is married to an American movie exec, and they live on a street. I even gave them a street in the novel, Macapa Drive, which is beautiful, very expensive. And they have this wonderful life. She has a garden, and she lives up there, and she has a PhD in romantic literature. So she's very well educated. What is the Californian aesthetic? And what is the Japanese aesthetic? Because I wanted very much a Japanese aesthetic with this. And the Japanese idea, I think, is always épuré. Not necessarily minimalism, but certainly going in that direction. And I think overtly minimal in most cases, what we would call minimalist. It's truly extraordinary. And in California, there are people who wear the heavy fragrances and sort of thing. There's a lot of pop art in California because there are a lot of very interesting individuals who create their own brands, and they're so fun. They're so fun. And there's one called that I just smelled. I smelled a whole bunch of them. It was called Milk, and it was something milk, and it's absolutely fascinating, and it is just wonderful. And it's Andy Warhol as fragrance. Okay, I didn't want to do that, but this is also a literalist perfume. And I'm going to tell you what the painting is in this case. And it's not breaking down to the raw materials, because many of these raw materials don't exist that are in it. But it is really a combination of three things. It is spearmint from Washington State, fresh green grass, and white ginger from China. What's interesting is that there is no citrus. And everybody says, see, I don't want to talk about raw materials, but I'm talking about raw materials with mine. Great. So what's interesting is people smell citrus. There's none. What there is, it's in ginger. Exactly. Because ginger gives you a citrus, particularly in smell, not so much in cooking, but in smell, it gives you that citrus edge without giving the sharpness or the sweetness or thing of lemon, bergamot, grapefruit. I think it's a fascinating way to do clarity. And I think the California aesthetic and the Japanese aesthetic really are as minimalist aesthetics in many ways, represented well by this. The third one, have I said this, is green grass.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the thing about the green grass. It has a green banana angle to it. It's a simple molecule. It's called cis-3-hexanol. I love this molecule. It's fantastic. And it is this green, freshly cut grass or wheatgrass or something you get in a green drink. And you walk by somebody's lawn, and at the same time, there's this slight tropical hint on a very clear morning of something very green. The name of the novel, Etienne, who is the creative director and the founder of the brand, came to me and said, I read your novel, I love the title, I love the characters, can we do a fragrance? I wanted you to do a creative director, a fragrance for us. And I couldn't do it, obviously, at the New York Times, it was completely verboten, but I finally, when I left the Times, I did it. The perfumer on this is a woman named Caroline Savas, a French woman who's been in New York forever, and 3 kids. And she is fantastic. She's such a talent. She did extraordinary fragrances. And I knew, and I actually went to another perfumer first because we sort of had Etat was working with them, and I thought, well, I'm going to go to them, and I love it, and he's an incredible talent, and he couldn't get it. But this is, there are people who can nail it, and people who can't, and people because it's outside, and also the temperature and the barometer pressure and just how the stars lined up. And this is art, and you can get it or not. And we tried with him. There wasn't really a single mod that I thought was successful. I gave it to Caroline, and she said, we talked about it, talked about the concept, and in about 22 days, she said, come on in. And the Givaudan offices are on 57th between 5th and 6th. And I went over, beautiful offices. I went over and sat down, and she handed me essentially this. Isn't it wonderful?
Yeah, it's so unusual. It's not like your typical fragrance. That's why I like so much. It's different.
How do you think it's different? Can you say it in words?
Well, it doesn't have a lot of the other typical things that fragrance has, like a citrus or like something, jasmine or rose or something that's powdery or something.
Right.
That's typical. Those are all great things, and I have fragrances that include that I like, but I like this because you can't place what it is, and that's what I love about a fragrance, when you can't sort of place what it is.
Do you, Gloria, do you not see this as a work of realism?
Yeah, I'm thinking about literature and art actually, when I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about Georges Sand.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
Georges Sand.
yeah, I'm thinking about it as just kind of pastoral, but at the same time, very much the people of the land.
It is actually a form. I thought of that pastoral portraiture.
Yeah.
It is. There is an element. There is an element of that. I think what's amazing, what Caroline did, and she did all of this, is nothing. I am not a perfumer. I know some of the materials, but I had nothing to do with this. It's entirely her genius. Was creating a picture of a perfected Los Angeles that really sort of doesn't exist, but it exists in our minds. And I love that about it. It is idealistic if you want, but it is truly almost utopian. The freshness of it and the cleanliness of it and the way that it is ordered. Remember the great work of Fauvism that we smelled, I Am Trash. Daniela Andrier created an entire slash of paintings, almost neon, across this, and you looked at it, you were just enveloped. And this is exactly the opposite way. And this is very difficult to do. Andrew Wyeth's watercolors in the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
The beautiful turquoise ocean and aquamarine and that light blue sky and the white cloud. And that's one of the things I talked to Caroline about. And I said, I want you to be able to see the elements. I want you to be able to see where you are. This is realism. But I want it to be beautiful. Wyeth creates this perfected world. You remember seeing them. You want to be there. You want to sail on that boat. And when I put this on, my husband wears this all the time, and he puts it on, and I go like this. And I don't see him, but he puts it on the bedroom, and I'll go like that. I'll say, oh, he loves my perfume. He actually does, not just because it's me. And he has others that he wears. Oh, there's another one that's genius by Jacques Guerlain, which is called Afternoon Swim. And that he created for the Louis Vuitton collection. And it is one of the most extraordinary works a perfumer I've ever experienced. Afternoon swim, write it down. It is very similar to this in that, again, it is a work of realism. It paints a picture. It has, it abstracts what it's doing. It is country paysage, because he's doing a simple thing he is doing, not surprisingly, the scent of someone who has just come in from the ocean and is on the beach. You smell the salt, which I believe he did with salicylates. You smell the iodé in French, the iodine smell, right? And you have a slight angle of sort of a copper tone, or it's a little bit different in France, but it's sort of French sunblock and this beautiful clear air of the beach. It's wonderful. So there's all kinds of, so that is the school. Am I supposed to stop now?
I don't know the names.
So that's afternoon swim. Oh, this one. This is you or someone like you.
That's really good.
And you or someone like you is the name of the novel, and so now are we supposed to do, we're doing questions?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Now, use a real flower, for instance. I was told it did some sort of rose,
for which scent?
number 5.
Oh yeah. Oh, number 5 is loaded with Rose Absolute, jasmine, and ylang ylang. No, yes, ylang ylang, I believe.
But it's not synthetic.
No, but again, that doesn't matter, because look at Dear Essence, which is beautiful lily of the valley, and there are all sorts of lily valleys on the marketplace, and it comes from the genius of somebody who's actually also using naturals and molecules. Again, I don't think it matters. They're building. I'm sure you all have heard of this. They're building skyscrapers with wood now. You're the new movement. It cuts down hugely on climate change gases, and it has a wonderful resistance to earthquakes and to swaying from wind and this kind of thing. And they're doing it both for good reasons to take care of the earth and for structural reasons. It's absolutely fascinating. The reason they're doing it is because the wood works. And if they didn't do it fundamentally for that, you wouldn't do it. Because you really don't want to be on the 80th floor and have this damn thing fall over. You have to be absolutely terrific. But they also use steel. And they also use glass. And they also use, so it really, perfumery really is a combination of these things done in perfect form. But yes, the quality of number 5 is extraordinary. It is the best quality in the world. It is an extraordinary fragrance. By the way, number 5 is fascinating because it is the great modernist perfume. The modernists, I told you this last night, the modernists were people who were artists and were about art and wrote about art and thought about it. And they said, here we are in the beginning of the 20th century. And we have all new kinds of people who have electricity, and they have gaslight, and they have these forms of transportation that we didn't have before. And women are going out in the, and these young people, they're not going to understand the art forms of the past, but we know their value. So we want to modernize them. We want to recreate them in the form that they're great. So what do you have? You have Mies van der Rohe, for example, who created the Barcelona Pavilion. This is the one that I use, but there are many examples. And he went and he created the Barcelona Pavilion, and it's a structure that uses walls like the other ones, right? But he also did glass, and you could see it, and he completely transformed the perception of the building, even though it was completely functional. It transformed the way that you experienced it. He surrounded glass. What Alex Beau did in 1921 with Chanel number 5 is he used this very classical rose, jasmine, ylang ylang, and that is a classical French fragrance. But he did something genius, and he was the first to ever do it. He put a glass wall around it, a curtain wall of molecules called aldehydes, and aldehydes give a beautiful powdery aspect, but they alternate. They're chains of carbon atoms with a functional group in the end, I think. And depending on how many of the carbons you have, they smell like orange or lemon, sort of citrus, powdery, abstract, and utterly, somebody said if you grind up diamonds into a dust and you sprinkle it over it. And if you go and smell Chanel number 5, be conscious of that, of this great work of classicism that is brought into the modern age. It is one of the greatest works of modernism ever created.
Love that. So great.
I was told that the perfume of joy is made with nothing but yellow roses. Is that true?
Absolutely, completely false. Ridiculous.
Thank you. Question about petrichor, you know, the
Yeah.
fuss.
And people say stuff about perfume all the time, and not necessarily that even the brand wanted to convey that. I've heard people say, oh, this is made with the milk from the teats of the goats that live on Mars, and that kind of thing. And they love making up stuff. But
So about petrichor.
yeah,
What's
does everybody know what petrichor is?
No.
Can you define it?
the first smell of rain when, am I right?
Yeah,
The first, when it first falls on the soil, the first drop of rain.
yeah. I think it's the first drop of rain when I've always heard that it falls on very dry dust.
Very dry dust.
Yes, and you have the dust kicked up, and you have the rain, and there is an ozonic quality to it, which is sort of electric, because generally it comes down from it brings it's an amazing scent, petrichor.
So the question was, any perfumes you recommend or know that uses petrichor?
There are many petrichor perfumes, many, and I'm not going to name one just because I am not sure enough. Not because of the perfumes, because of me. There's some that I like very much. There's some that I think are complete failures. And it is a beautiful idea that is extremely difficult to capture. But it's a really interesting idea. The good ones I cannot remember the name. There are two in particular I love from two completely different perfumers for different brands and everything. They're very, very well done. So yeah.
So, taste in perfumes change over time. Is there a perfume you can think of that actually seems to have lasted through the ages?
I think that's very interesting. Yeah, people ask that, and I thought a lot about it. It's an art. People's taste in art changes completely. Ingrid David up to whoever. I mentioned Kandinsky. I mean, Jesus, how different can you be? Or Monk screaming. I don't think that there is. There are great fragrances that are recognized as great just in the way that the great neoclassical paintings are represented as great. Our tastes change. Our perception of what changes, our perception in art changes. And I think that it's ridiculous to say this was the greatest painting in, when did they paint? Late 1800s, right? Or mid 1800s? Ingrid David.
Oh, that was the 18th century, beginning of the 19th.
Okay, late
Revolution.
1700s. All right, so I was completely off. But
Doesn't matter.
they were extraordinary at the time. They were extraordinary. They were revelatory. I view, and he painted, mostly it was portraiture, right? And one of the painters I love most, and that I find just endlessly fascinating is John Singer Sargent. And it was all portraits. And think about the difference between those two. I just think what Sargent does, I think, is as contemporary as tomorrow. But it's from Sargent up. And my kids aren't going to feel the same about him. So no, I don't think in any art form there's one that truly spans and has the same impact in every age. I think it's impossible.
Does our biochemistry affect how we perceive perfume? In other words, what people were eating 100 years ago, does that affect how we react to perfume?
There is no agreement on that at all. And there is a cynical view, and there is a completely uncynical and credulous view. I don't know what the answer is. I think, did everybody hear that? How our different skin chemistry, does our different skin chemistry, our individual chemistry, change the way the perfume? Right. But that has an impact on the skin, right? Yeah, I'm not sure that has an impact on the senses. I don't know that it has an impact on the olfactory receptors. I don't think it does. But
Corollary to that, all of these wonderful fragrances, they're all going to smell differently on each one of us.
that's what she's asking.
I thought it was like, I'm sorry, they were slightly different.
Well, ultimately is your question. You were focused on diet. There are other things that focus. So I lived in Japan, and I've traveled in Korea maybe 2 weeks of my entire life. The Japanese call the Koreans the garlic eaters. There's a ton of garlic. Garlic does come out of the skin. We've all experienced that. There are other things that do change skin chemistry and all these kinds of things. Is there really a difference? Is this perfume is completely different on you than it is on you? I tend to think it's not. I tend to think that a lot of that is marketing. I think that a work of fragrance smells like a work of fragrance. It also depends on how strong it is. Odor protection, the first one, the sword, the blood, and that's going to smell pretty much like that, right? Just like a very, very loud guitar from Leonard Skinner or whoever it is going to sound like that. And there are others that are more translucent, like you or someone like you, and maybe it has more of an impact there. I remember being at IFF, International Flavors of Fragrances, one time, and I was with two terrific perfumers, Carlos Benaim and I think Jean-Marc Chirou, maybe, and we were smelling something, and they put it. It was something that Carlos had just done. Carlos Benaim, by the way, is one of the greatest fragrance artists, scent artists of the late 20th and early 21st centuries who exist, like Jacques Guerlain at Louis Vuitton. Absolutely terrific, and that's why he could do that. And I think Caroline is absolutely extraordinary as well. There are people who have this talent to do these things. They were very interested because Carlos had just finished a perfume and he put it on 3 people. And what's very funny is, do you remember the height of the sort of the Me Too, race panic, trans woke, all that kind of thing, where we were all going like this all the time, 2020, 2021. And it was actually I think it was in 2021. And I showed a picture of me smelling the arm of this very attractive young woman. And this was in the New York Times because they had done, this is after I left, and they'd done a piece of me in relation to something. Okay. So I had 2 friends who said, "Oh, you can't show that picture. It's too sensitive. You'll get canceled." Can you imagine? All the time in the industry, you're saying, "Does anyone have skin? Does anyone have skin?" People are yelling, and people go, "Oh yeah, I have skin," and they'll come in, they take down the shirt, and you get skin, and we do it all the time. It's so strange. I know that it really looks weird to civilians, but that's what we do. And so the question is, does it smell different on everybody's skin? I have to say that I remember we had 3 different people, 4 with me, and I really perceived a difference. But I don't know if it's real. I don't know. Let me go to him.
This is just wondering if you would agree with this. It's something I think about when I'm smelling fragrances. I was lucky enough to have lunch with my grandmother and a famous perfumer when I was young, and she said that
Your grandmother was a famous perfumer?
I had lunch with her and Madame Falcon.
Oh no, really?
She told me that you can basically predict which fragrance a person will like through their entire lives by what their mother wore when they were nursing.
Well,
And I actually like the perfume like
what did she wear?
she wore
Sorry? Jute
when I was young.
skirt?
No, the
popular.
Oh, yeah. I think isn't it group?
didn't like as a child.
Yeah.
He said that, whatever I would wear or like through my entire life was inspired.
I
Inspired by the notes of that.
I think that's absolute garbage. It's sort of this third thing. Should I wrap up? Last round. Okay. I think it is true in a very real sense that my mom, when she would get drafted, you're a kid and you're 7 years old, 8 years old, and then your parents are going out, your mom has lipstick on, she looks transformed, your dad has a jag or whatever it was, and they go and your mom comes and kisses you goodnight, you're already in bed and you really want to go with them. And you have either, in my mom's case, and this is so stereotypical, but it's true, it was either Chanel number 5 or Chanel number 22. And I loved them. And I'm not a 22 fan now, but I still, you go, like this. She was going to ask a question. Is it? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yes.
How has the move to online shopping impacted the industry?
You know, it's very interesting because we were all terrified, and it actually has worked very well. It's worked very well. What's interesting about this is that, and I think that people didn't like going into stores so much. Sephora was extremely intelligent when they let people buy their own. You could go around, you could smell your own. For some reason, online, there's a very good way now of getting samples. So you can get samples. They're very good about you're being able to return the fragrances and all this kind of stuff, right? I think there's something else coming in, and that's what I'm doing now, which is perfume marketing. And you have to have experiential marketing, experiential branding of both the brand and the product itself. People are less interested in product now and much more interested in experiences. LVMH just created this huge, crazy ship in the middle of Seoul and then I think in Beijing. And it has, you go through and you see a lot of luggage, you see smells, and it's fascinating. And it has gotten such a positive reaction from people, and a lot of them will go and then buy it online. So it has not been a disaster at all that we thought it was. It's actually been very positive.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Joining with you in applause. Thank you, Chandler. You absolutely took us on a brand new way to experience our programming and just the ability to witness the fragrances with you and the explanation. I think we all, no matter how long we've been devoted to one fragrance or more, we will think of everything differently now. So thank you so very much. And again, a thank you to everyone in attendance today.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming.
Yes.
Thank you really for coming.
Yes, and to you for coming from California. Thank you for coming for us.
My pleasure.
Yes. And all who will join us, our grand patrons, and guests who will join us for lunch, we welcome you and look forward to seeing you upstairs. And to all of you, thank you so very much for joining us. Please join us again. Our next program will be May 13th, when we will welcome Linda Levy, president of the Fragrance Foundation in New York City, who will speak on the artistry and the passion of fragrance.
And I almost forgot something. I'm so glad were you going to remind me?
No.
So what happened was, so this is wonderful. Etat Libre sent, I mean, Juliette you just used one spray, right? One sample. So there are a huge number of samples here.
Yeah.
Think about the fragrance you like the most. Come up and we can probably give it to you. So everybody can take home a perfume.
Thank you again.